but welcome to Sweet Emotion. What is sweet emotion? If you are viewing this live, I would love, 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 love to hear from you in the chat. Thank you, Donovan, for that confirmation. Not sure if anyone else is on yet, but please feel free, go ahead and type in the chat. If you want to learn a way to increase your guest loyalty this year, type yes in that chat if you can. If you want to be you know what? I'm not taking new clients. That's fine. That's totally fine. Some of you might be at that point in your career where you're like, you know what? I'm not taking new guests. I'm not taking new clients. That's totally cool. It's all good. But maybe you're just trying to learn a way to strengthen your relationship and strengthen and improve your quality of service this year. Just kind of, maybe you're at a here. Maybe you just want to take things up a notch, right? Or maybe you are building. Maybe you're brand new into this whole sweet world and you lost some clientele and you're trying to build. And you're like, you know what? I really want to build, and I want to build smarter. What does that mean? It means building the right way and not just filling your chair with bodies just for the sake of quote, looking busy, right? So more meaningful work, more meaningful relationships. And that is what today is going to be all about, right? Because we have to ask, what does amazing service mean to you and why? I want you to go ahead and think about that for a minute. Think about a time when you experienced amazing service somewhere. Could be a restaurant, could be at a spa, could be at a tattoo shop, could be at a car auto mechanic. It doesn't matter, but just think about a time when you had amazing service. And I'm going to adjust my projector real quick. But think about a time when you were on the receiving end of amazing service. I'm just trying to, again, make some adjustments here. There we go. So yeah, hopefully you've had, taken a minute to think about a time. I can go ahead and tell you about a time I had amazing service. I went to a spa to get a facial and a massage, and I walked in and they greeted me by name. It wasn't oh, you're here for your 1 o'clock. It was oh, hello, Courtney. It's so nice to have you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Let me take you back and show you where to get settled. And just that attention and just oh, hey, what's your name again? How can I help you? Just feeling like they truly were happy to see me. So think about, do we do that with our clientele? And, I feel like things are different nowadays in our industry than ever before. If you agree with that and you're on here, type yes in the chat. If you agree, things are totally different. They are now than they were 2 years ago. Think about it. Things are so different, right? Now, I've been doing hair. A little bit about me. I want to introduce myself. I've been doing hair for about 20 years. And I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of ups and downs and just people come and go. But at the end of the day, what we're going to be going over today are core values and core beliefs and principles that are truly going to help your customer service so you can have a more successful year. And I love that we're doing this in January at the start of the year, because that guarantees hey, start of the year, let's start fresh. Here we go. I know where it's the end of January. It's okay. Right? We're 1 month in. But today you're hopefully going to be motivated and learn a lot of best practices to, again, just increase that client loyalty. So let's go over some stats, shall we? 80%, okay, 80% of companies believe that they have good customer service, but only 8% of customers agree. That's crazy. That's a huge discrepancy. That's a 72% discrepancy between the companies that believe they have good service and then the amount of people that actually agree with that. And 95% of people who have a bad experience share it with others. Think about social media. If somebody has a bad experience, they have the ability to get on social media and within seconds tell hundreds of people about it, if not thousands. And 95% of people are doing that. So what are you doing to elevate your service and the quality of your service and the things that you're doing? What are you going to do to take that up to the next level? Because we don't want your customers or your guests having a bad experience. We want everyone to have an awesome, great experience, right? Right now, there are 25% fewer salon visits today than there were 8 years ago. If you agree with that, type a letter A in the chat. If you agree with that, if you're experiencing that with your longtime guests and clients, you're like, yep, I agree with that. People are coming in less frequently. They're not coming in as often. They're spacing out appointments, right? And what are we doing to rebuild our business? Also, some more information about the state of our industry in today's environment. Salon transactions are down 7%, and retail revenue is down 6%. Excuse me, grabbing a drink real quick. But think about that. Don't have COVID, I promise. But yeah, retail revenue is down 6%. How are we going to drive our business? Super important here. Sanitation and cleanliness. They are key at every step of each visit. Think about it. Like, really, it's so funny. Before the pandemic, did any of you think like, oh yeah, like, I'm clean, my station's neat, my salon space is neat? And then all of a sudden our sanitation protocols skyrocketed, and you're like, oh man, this is totally different. It's key. People are paying attention to that now more than ever. So please make sure that you're keeping your space nice and tidy. But let's think about this. We're going to get into like human relations now, because we want to teach you to be more empathetic with your customers, with your clients, with maybe your future clients that you don't even know yet, the future ones that you haven't even met yet. But how are you providing service with empathy? So think about that. If you're on live, go ahead and like type in the chat. Okay. Like, think about, what does empathy mean to you? What is empathy? How does it differ than, say, like sympathy? Now let's learn a little bit about empathy, because that's what we're going to start with first, is that personal connection with how you connect with your guests and your clients. It's not just about doing hair anymore. It's not about them like just coming in and being like, okay, give me a haircut. I mean, maybe it is, but what is empathy? How are we connecting? So I love this video clip that we're going to watch. It's by Brene Brown. You might have heard of her, but I truly love this. And maybe you're not taking this information to like think about how it relates to just the salon world and behind the chair, but like, even if it applies to your personal life, just take a second and really like watch this and listen to it and see what resonates in you while we watch.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, I'm down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no. You want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with "at least." Yeah. And we do it all the time, because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So, I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now, I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
Now, I love that. I'm going to step into the frame. I feel like I haven't seen you guys yet lately. We're going to like take a pause from the slideshow real quick. But that video really resonated with me personally the first time I ever saw it, because I don't know if any of you had this reaction, but I realized that I'm the silver lining person. Anyone else? If that like hit you and you're like, oh gosh, I do that. That's what I experienced with that the first time I saw that. I was like, oh gosh, I'm that person that's like, well, you know, look on the bright side. Here's the positive in this situation. And to me, in my opinion, that was just like having a positive outlook and a positive attitude. And I would do that with my clients behind the chair, because they would, you know, okay, let's be real. We all know that hairstylists, we're all therapists, right? If you agree with that, like type yes in the chat. If you're like, yep, I totally agree with that. We are therapists. We're unlicensed therapists, right? We're licensed to do hair, but not necessarily give out therapy. But we end up doing that a lot, right? And so I found with my clients, I'm like, well, they're in my chair wanting to feel good. I'm making them feel good. I'm making them look good. That's for dang sure. And you're like, okay, I'm going to make them feel good. So they tell us these things and have these hard conversations, and they put themselves in a vulnerable place. And so in my mind, I'm like, well, I just need to make them feel better. So I'm the silver lining person. And I have to say, after I first saw this video, I definitely started becoming more aware and having awareness and changing the way that I respond to people. Because it's not necessarily the advice that you're giving them. Maybe they are looking for advice, you know, but you have to really listen. And are they asking you, hey, what would you do? What's your advice? Right? Are they asking that, or are they just like venting to you? And so I love what Brene Brown says there. That was from a TED Talk. And I love what she says, like, hey, I love it. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I see you. Like, yes, heck yes. Like, maybe they're not looking for a response. Maybe they just needed to get something off their chest. And I just love the part where she said, you know what, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad that you told me. I think that that's huge. And why are we talking about this? You guys are signing on. You're like, wait, what is this? I thought this was like a business class or whatever about hair, right? But it is. If you agree that this is like this right here, learning empathy and understanding connection, that is a big part of our business. If you agree with that, type a letter A in that chat box if you don't mind, because like this is everything. I love it. I heard once this phrase that was like, we're in the relationship business. We do hair for fun. And I love that. And it's all about building those relationships. So just want you to like, again, think about that video and just kind of pay attention to what feelings it brought up within yourself, because I think that that's huge. So let's proceed. I'm going to turn this again so you can see the screen. But I love it. Empathy And sorry if some of that's cut off a little bit, but we're doing the best we can here. But empathy, it's not about being nice. It's about being real and genuine. It's not about agreeing. It's about two-way understanding. It's not about sympathy. It's about mindful curiosity. And so let's think about like our customer needs and then human needs, because hopefully we're meeting our customer needs, and that's like totally to be expected. You know, that looks like, okay, they're there. That's like the hair visit, the hair care, the color care, the price. You're teaching them hopefully how to style their hair, their likes and dislikes, right? Their preferences, their skin tone, all sorts of things. These are meeting customer needs, which is going above and beyond right there. But if you want to even take it to the next level, think about honoring those human needs, which are like connection, mutual respect, being heard and belonging. Like your clients want to feel heard and like they belong with you. And then of course, just understanding, and then love. The human connection, it's honoring human needs, and that builds trust, a deeper connection, and a stronger relationship. Understanding empathy is good, but practicing it makes all the difference. So how do we practice? Let's jump ahead and say, okay, that's great, but how do we practice empathy? It's like the difference between like watching someone do yoga or watching a yoga video, but you're not actually doing it yourself or practicing it yourself, right? So it's like you got to practice it, and the more experience and the more you do it, the easier and second nature it's going to become. So how do we do that with our guest behind the chair? It's all about this I, you, and we circle. What's the I? That is going to be like the wellness and self-care, like for your customer. You the stylist, you have to also be open. And then we is the commitment and the connection that you're going to share together. So let's think about like I, like what is self-care and how does it relate to wellness? So if you're on here, go ahead and like take a minute and type in the chat, what are some things you do for self-care? Or what are some things, if you don't want to share that, what are some things that you hear about, maybe your clients talk about, that they're doing for their self-care? I know for me, it is actually taking, even if it's just like 1 to 2 hours per week, to practice yoga sometimes. Like that's part of my personal self-care. I also just sometimes I'll take a couple minutes and just kind of meditate by myself for a couple minutes at a time. Also, let's think about how self-care has changed over these last couple years. Because for me, my self-care used to be getting like a bi-weekly pedicure. And then on the other weeks, I would do massage, right? And well, now, to be totally frank, I'm limiting those services a little bit and just not doing them as often. But go ahead and like type in that chat, like what are some things that either you're doing, but like what does self-care mean to you? And how does it to relate to our wellness? Because think about it. Hair is part of this wellness industry. Wellness is defined by the level of happiness, health, stability, purpose, meaning, and fulfillment in one's life. Whew. That's a lot. Like everybody take a deep breath. Like I need a deep breath after that. Like, but I love that. Like wellness is the level of happiness, health, stability, purpose, meaning, and fulfillment in one's life. And self-care is the behaviors, activities, and skills used to take care of our mental, emotional, and physical health. So think about what you're doing. You're not just giving someone a haircut. You have become part of someone else's self-care routine. They have invited you into their lives to take care of them. And yeah, it might be taking care of like the way they look physically, but also could be affecting their mental, emotional, and physical health. Like, do you ever stop and think about that? Like the power of what we do with our clients. So it's just that mind, body, spirit connection. You know, do you see the beauty in yourself? Do your clients see the beauty in themselves? You know, so identify your strengths. Then return to calm and focus. And I love that. Breathe consciously. And then have an attitude of gratitude. And yeah, looking for the positive. Now that's different than like we were talking about, like the silver lining. Trying to constantly find the silver lining. But thinking, just looking and noticing the positive things around you. And I guarantee that when you start doing that for yourself, your clients and your guests will start feeling that as well. And that's going to build more confidence, either in yourself as a stylist, and perhaps to build the confidence that your guests have in themselves as well. So what about the you side of it and that openness, right? This is huge. Listening. Listen to understand versus listening to respond. Are we listening to understand and actually hear our clients? Or are we listening to respond? Have you ever like had a conversation with someone and they're telling you something or they're asking you a question and you already have decided in your mind how you're going to answer them without like, and they haven't even finished what they're saying? Or maybe your customer, your guest is going on and on and on and on about, you know, however they want their hair, but you've already made your mind up that you're going to cut them a bob today. Or they said, yeah, take a trim off. And you're like, okay, a trim today. All right, that's the same old thing. Yet they're still talking, right? So definitely just listen to understand and truly listen instead of listening just to respond. And then, of course, recap what was said. This is such great advice to take your consultations to the next level. And so let's say, you know, Jane is in your chair and she says, I just want to trim today and just a root touch up. Okay, well, what I heard you say was you want to trim. But let's dive deeper. Tell me, what's a trim to you? Is that a 1/2 inch? Is that a 1 inch? Like what is a trim to you? It could be 3 inches. It depends on the length, right? But when you recap what they said, it really proves that you were listening instead of just listening to respond. And then connect and flow into their world. That is where the magic happens. Asking connecting questions like, okay, tell me more. So that's an example, like, tell me more. When you say trim, what does that mean to you? Right? Does that just mean, you know, a dusting, or are we taking a full inch off? But that's when you're going to start to connect, and that's going to be where the trust starts to form. And just kind of being open. Like if you're not open at all, then you can come off as like too cold maybe, right? If they're like, oh, well, they're not very communicative back with me, so they're not very warm and fuzzy. And sometimes if it's too much, it's intrusive. Have you ever known that hairstylist that does nothing but talk about themselves the entire time to their client? I've known those people, and guess what? They had a really hard time filling their books because it's about the client. This is what it's all about, is that connection. If you're just talking on and on and on, nothing about them and just all about yourself, do you think you're going to form a good connection? Because again, it's about that I and that you, so we make the we. We is that commitment and that connection. And that's something definitely to like celebrate. So you're celebrating your relationship like with your clients. And like some benefits of that is that's going to elevate the bond that you have. And when people experience that, they're going to be more likely to come back and see you. They're going to be more likely to refer all their friends, right? So that's something to be worth celebrating. And that's when your true collaboration forms, right? So you're brainstorming together, you're working together. And then you get to be the hero in your role as the professional. All of a sudden, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel that connection. I feel heard. I love this. I love you, right? And you get to be the hero because you are creating that strong bond. And that is how this all comes together, that I, that you, and that we. So I'm going to pause for just a quick second. If anyone has anything they'd like to add to this, either questions or comments, just throughout this, like feel free to utilize that chat box. And that way we can, you know, if you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I appreciate it. I see some of you on here live, so thank you. So yeah, anytime you have a question, please feel free to type that in the chat. Or if you just have a story you'd like to share that relates to this. I love that. but this is how empathy comes together. It's all in that mindset. So also too, if you're on here, if you'd like to share, go ahead and take a minute and like type in that chat, like what are some other ideas you have to create that connection and build that empathy and strengthen that relationship with your guests. Here are some ways to make this go into action. Again, whoop. There we go. There we go. That should be easier to read. So 5 guiding principles. Connect sincerely. You want to transmit expertise that matters. Oh, I love that. Show that you really care. Individualize your advice. And offer sensorial moments. If you follow these 5 principles with your clients, do you think that your client loyalty base will go up? Absolutely. If you connect sincerely, transmit expertise that matters, show that you really care, individualize your advice, and offer sensorial moments. And it's really interesting, like an example of like transmitting expertise that matters and individualizing your advice, like what's relevant to that customer, right? It's asking during that consultation, like, what are you loving about your hair? Okay, great. What are you not loving about your hair, right? And really, truly listen. Like I said, listen for the sake of listening, not just listening just to respond. But when they get done, you're going to repeat back what you said. Now, I hear you. Like, I heard that you're saying your hair feels really dry. Well, because you said your hair feels dry, I'm going to recommend like this Redken All Soft shampoo and conditioner because it uses almond oil, and that's going to help nourish those dry ends. Does that sound good to you? Right? So I'm not going to be that stylist that just recommends the same old shampoo to every single client. I'm going to really, really, really listen and give them what they need. And that right there too, they're like, oh my gosh, again, that repeating, that's going to prove to them that they're going to feel heard, and they're absolutely going to love you for it. And of course, this famous Maya Angelou quote, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never, ever, ever forget how you made them feel. I love that quote, and I think about it regularly. So you might say something or do something, but really it's like, how did that person make you feel? And those are the moments that people are actually going to remember. So think about the moments when your client is sitting in your chair. Like, how are they feeling? Are they feeling tense? Are they feeling nervous? A lot of new clients, and this is what we're going to dive into next, but a lot of new clients and customers, like if it's their first time, they definitely have some anxiety. If you agree with that, type a number 1 in that chat box. But yeah, like they definitely have a lot of anxiety if it's their first time in your chair. But how are you coaxing them through that? And how are they feeling through the service and then at the end? So let's walk through these 6 factors, or I guess guidelines, to create like this amazing experience again, because at the end of the day, at the end of this class, like the purpose of this is we want you to feel excited to build those connections again so you can have a kick-ass year, pardon my language, but we want you to have a kick-ass year where you get to celebrate because your guest loyalty and your guest count and your services and your retail dollars all elevated. If you want to learn how to make more money, like type a $sign in that chat box. Like if you're like, yep, I want to make more money, I want to have a successful year, I am with you on that. I share that as well. So how are we going to do this? It's all about creating that sweet emotion experience, right? So number 1, you're a business startup. This is where they're going to be empowered. You need to pay attention to your eye window, which we're going to dive deep into all of these. So if you're like, what does this all mean? We're going to go through one by one and really do a deep dive with all of these. But yeah, they need to be attracted into your space, right? Number 3, the consultation. That's where that wow moment is going to happen. And then number 4 is going to be the reception, and that's going to just confirm everything. And again, that client's really going to start to relax. Then number 5, the actual service with a revelation. And then at checkout, like how satisfied are they? What's the satisfaction like? So let's go through, and I love it because you can see it's like a continuous figure 8 because it should be a natural flow. So let's go on to like step number 1, like empower me, right? 10 to 20% of clients are lost when a stylist moves to a new salon or suite. So maybe you're new. Maybe you're new to like owning your own suite. Maybe you're a new business owner. Maybe you've been doing it for like 10 years already. No matter where you're at, whether it just happened or if it happened years ago, like think about that. Like, did you lose 10 to 20% of your clients? Because that is the national average statistic. And these statistics were taken throughout 2020 and 2021. So they're very, very up to date. So your mission here is to create your brand and set up your business to take care of your existing client base as well as your new guests. So creating your brand, how do you do that? You have to establish your brand. And what that looks like is, you've got to come up with strategies to entice new clients and strategies to keep existing clients. So think about this. If your clientele maybe in the past has been nothing but, men and women over a certain age, and maybe you're just doing like base colors, root retouches, and like basic haircuts, and like that's what you've built your clientele on. And then all of a sudden you go to open a new suite and you decide, I want to do nothing but crazy fashion colors and rainbow hair. Okay? Is there something wrong with that? No, not at all. But how are you going to build your brand to cater to both? Because you don't really want to drive away like the people that have already been coming to you and supporting you, right? But you're also trying to entice new clients, and maybe you're trying to get out there and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to attract. So think about your brand. Is it falling in line with both? Right? So think about that. So think about too, what are you posting on social media? Because if you're not using social media to like build yourself, you're missing out. I know back in my day when I first started doing hair 20 years ago, I had to like pay money to take out a small ad in the local weekly paper to let people know that I was doing hair and where to find me, right? And now you just have social media at your fingertips. So think about what you're posting, and hopefully you're posting the things on social media that you like to do and that you want to do. I'll never forget, I was a colleague of mine at the salon. This was several years ago. She was amazing at blonde balayages. And one day she did this gorgeous purple. Oh my gosh, like this girl, it was like she looked like a My Little Pony with the most perfect like purple hair ever. And I said to my colleague, I was like, hey, did you post that on your Instagram? Because holy cow, that looked gorgeous. And she said, no, that's not my brand. I like doing like blonde balayages. I hate doing like fashion colors and vivids. I don't want to attract more of those. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like, why would you post something that you're not trying to attract? Because then what would happen? People would see that and be like, oh my gosh, that stylist can do amazing vivid hair. I'm going to go to her for that. And then she's like, wait a minute, this is not what I enjoy doing. So think about what gets you excited as a stylist. What do you enjoy doing? And that's what you need to be like posting on your social media and helping you to decide like what's your brand. And are you making sure that everybody is happy, whether they're your existing clients and also to attract the new ones? Definitely use technology as your assistant, right? You can use technology to rebook or just book appointments, right? Like, what are you currently utilizing? right? This is all about working smarter, not harder. Because guess what? You're on your own now. If you own your own suite, you are totally on your own. You are running the show. You are doing it all. How are you maintaining your, client relationships? That's what CRM is. If you're looking at that going, what is CRM? It is client relationship management or customer relationship management. Are you using technology in that way? Maybe that is through like Instagram or TikTok or social media, right? To stay in touch, stay connected. You're like, hey, tag me in your selfies, right? You can also use it like we just talked about for advertising and marketing. Advertise yourself on there. Make sure you're using like the proper hashtags. And then are you using technology to create like a loyalty program or a gift card system? And then of course it's so nice because you can do like the payment and credit card processing this way. And of course utilizing hair.com. So if you are newly on your own and you're having a rough time, you're like, oh my gosh, hang on. I'm a one-man show now. I'm doing all these things. Please know that like technology can help you in all of these aspects. And how do you determine your pricing strategy? So this is very, very, very important. So maybe like take a screenshot if you're watching this on your phone, or you can even like take a picture on your computer. But this is huge to help you determine your pricing, because the last thing that we want is for you to just like pull numbers out of thin air. Or if you're like, hey, how do I go about having a price increase? I want to give myself a raise. Like, hey, can we agree that the cost of our supplies have gone up? Yeah. Type a letter A in the chat box if you're like, yep, I agree with that. Cost of everything has gone up these last couple years. So whether you're just brand new, coming up with your prices to start, or even if you're experienced and you're just trying to figure out how to give yourself a raise, some things to consider. The operating cost can take up to 80% of revenue. So that's mostly going to be like your rent and labor. And the salon owner is part of the workforce in most independently owned salons. Stylists often depend on commissions from their regular clients. And that includes the extra tips. And that can make up to 50% of your service revenue, or like the tips from your existing clients. So think about it. The receptionist can earn commissions for selling a hair or beauty product. So do you have a receptionist, or again, are you the receptionist? Are you totally on your own? The median hourly wage reported for hairdressers, hairstylists, and cosmetologists was $12.54 an hour in May of 2019. And for barbers, it was $14.50. Think about that. Think about that. So are you charging your worth to make sure that you are making the revenue to make that up? So if you wanted, if you're trying to figure out, well, what do I charge for a haircut? Think about hourly. Okay, like do you book for 45 minutes or do you book for 60 minutes? Maybe it's 30. So whatever it is, divide your price by the number of minutes and then multiply that by 60, since there's 60 minutes in an hour. And then you can figure out, okay, what are you making per minute? What are you making per hour? And is it enough to cover your costs? And hopefully write yourself a paycheck. And when it comes to ordering supplies, and it says here your opening order, but also think about, again, even if you're existing, if you're just, does anyone type, that's me in the chat, if you do what I call emotional ordering. Or maybe you're a little bit strategic about it, but type in the chat box like me if that's you. Or if you're like, well, I think I'm just going to order like 5 boxes of 6N, maybe a couple boxes of this, maybe some bottles of this dry shampoo, and you're just kind of winging it, right? But if you want to learn how to do it more strategically to work in your favor, think about how much product you need and like look at maybe what are you carrying? Look at new user kits maybe with Salon Centric or your salon supplier. And that can help manage your inventory. So again, even if you've been around a while, just check the sales that your sales distributor are constantly having. And that's when you need to stock up to help save you cost. And also make sure that you're signed up for level loyalty rewards. Because anytime you're buying like a L'Oreal PPD products, so that would be Pulp Riot, Mizani, Redken, L'Oreal Professional, Matrix. Whenever you're buying those, you should be earning points. So definitely make sure you're signed up for level loyalty, because then you can use those points to order more back bar. But for ongoing professional orders, this is easy. You got to it's a little mathy, but it's okay. But take your prior week order sales and multiply that by 10%. So what that means is like for your professional orders. So that would be like your foils, your gloves, your back bar shampoo and conditioner. Take a look at what your actual sales dollars were from the prior week and multiply that number by 10. And that's going to give you your budget for how much to spend on your materials and your professional supplies. Now for retail, it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to look at the previous week, or maybe if you order monthly, you would look at the previous month, and you're going to multiply that number by 52%. And that will give you the amount of dollars that you should spend on your retail orders and your professional. So again, for professional, it's 10% times what you did in sales for the prior week, again, or a month if you order monthly. And then for retail, it's going to be multiplying your retail sales, so not your service dollars anymore, but your retail sales by 52%. So hopefully this is making sense. This is how, now I ran a large commission salon company back home years ago. And this is exactly what we would do for the big salon company. Guess what? It applies to independents and suite owners as well. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter like how many people you have working for you, or if it's just you, and these numbers work. And they're going to help you keep on track so you don't keep just like mindlessly spending money. Oh, because that's the worst. That's like me when I walk into Target. Anyone else? I just start mindlessly spending money. That's why I need to make sure now when I go to Target, I have a list and a budget, right? So this is how to create that professionally. Hopefully some of you relate to me on that Target thing. You go in for paper towels and walk out like spending $200 later. Anyone else? That's me. So let's talk about like number 2 now, your window. And this might not even be like your actual salon window, but also that's why it says eye window. What does your social presence, that can also be a window, right? But your mission here is to increase the visibility of your salon, both online and offline, to attract new clients and keep in touch with existing ones. Your physical window, like could be the actual physical window of your space. So I love this. Invite participation in your culture, reinforce information shared on digital platforms, and engage with this existing and potential clients. And so like, do you have any sort of like signage for your own space? Right? And then your digital window, grow your business, stay connected with your clients, and provide up-to-date and relevant information. And so that, yes, that could definitely be social media like we talked about, but also Google. What's your presence like on Google? That's your digital window right there. What are your ratings and your reviews like? And it doesn't have to even just be Google, but like Yelp. Do you have good reviews? Do you have good ratings? Someone type in the chat, like, what are some good ways to increase the number of reviews that you have? What if you're like, oh, shoot, my clients are all on social media and they're doing great, but I'm trying to build. But then like you Google yourself or you Google your business and you realize I don't really have a strong Google or Yelp presence. So what are some ways to help increase that? I know, like I used to, just to be totally transparent, I would just be transparent with my guests and I would say, hey, I need positive, good reviews. Like, you love coming here, right? And they're like, yep, love you. And I'm like, all right, love you back. I'm trying to build my business. Do you mind writing a review? And then if you even want to incentivize them, you totally can. Like, hey, I'll give you a free conditioning treatment next time you're in if you can show me that you wrote a positive Yelp or Google review. That's a great way. Or maybe they tag you. Maybe they're posting pictures on social media of their hair and they tag you. Maybe if you're like, hey, if you get like 3 of your friends to follow me and you tag me, I'll give you a free haircut next time. or whatever it looks like to you. I love this so much. So like setting up your physical window. In a suite, your physical window is less about attracting someone by walking by. Your physical window is more about making it easy for your incoming clients to find you and not feel lost in the building. Because that definitely can be a thing. If you agree with that, if you think like, oh my gosh, this is actually like, this is really important, the last thing you want is for your client to like enter the suite building and then be like, okay, they're in suite number 27, but I don't know where that is, right? So I love the idea of actually using social media to help with that. Like maybe you create a reel or an Instagram story or like a Facebook post, whatever you're on, make a TikTok and just give people a tour on like how to find your suite so they don't feel so lost. And setting up your physical window, you know, it's like, what does that look like? Is there a waiting area? Right? Is there a waiting area outside of your room? Like, can you dress your window? Like, I don't know what the rules are for Salon Republic, but, you know, are you allowed to dress your window? Can you use digital resources? Can you have like an iPad that's showing hair pictures that you've done? Like maybe it's on a slideshow. Like that's a great way to set up your physical window to try to bring in new people. Maybe brand looped videos, like maybe your whatever brand you're using, maybe they have digital resources. I know, you know, I'm a Redken brand educator and a Redken user of 20 years. And I know we have amazing virtual content that you can show on an iPad or like a monitor. And then maybe there's tutorials playing too of some of your favorite hairstyling products. So just some ideas there to like grow your physical window. Now, of course, what is search engine optimization? So again, this kind of like goes back to the reviews, but the process of maximizing the number of visitors to a particular website by ensuring that the site appears high on the list of results. So like basically, how do you build a consistent message that speaks to your client base and then link it to every page that you own? This can get very technical. So what's important is that you know what it is and why it's important. And sometimes there's like companies that can help partner with you like in this process. But what you need to do is you need to align your content with the search intent. So like, you know, if you are a barber and specialize in like fades and short haircuts, would you maybe want to be the top one that comes up if people are searching like long hair extensions, right? It's like, no, that doesn't align. So think about like, what's your specialty and just make sure that you come up in these searched phrases. And so that would be set up when you create your, say, like Google profile. So when you're creating your website or your profile, you want to write a compelling title, tag, and description. Like, hey, I am a barber who specializes in short hair and fades. Or I am a hairstylist that specializes in extensions. Or I do lash extensions. Or I'm the makeup person. Or whatever it may be. You just want to write a compelling title, tag, and description. And then, of course, make sure that your images align with what you've written. So I'm going to kind of move this in because I don't want it to be like hard to see or read. But I'm going to kind of move it over, so don't worry. Let me move this. There we go. Okay. So claim your business profile. This is all about Google. Complete every section of your Google business account. This is so important. Like, don't skip sections. Like, complete every single section to optimize all the search features like we were just talking about. Be meticulous with your contact information. I can't tell you how frustrating it is when you like go to call a number that you get off Google and they're like, we're sorry, that number is no longer in service. Has it happened to you before? It's totally happened to me when like ordering food and I get so frustrated. So make sure that your contact information is correct. Or there was like a supply warehouse near me. I'm in Oregon. There's a Salon Centric that's a Google listing doesn't match where it's actually currently located, and that's frustrating. So please make sure all your information's up to date. Select primary and secondary categories. So again, that would be like, okay, maybe you specialize in hair color, but then maybe you want to break it down even more and you're like, okay, what else do? You do cutting, you do men's cutting, you do women's cutting, you do long hair specialist, short hair specialist, whatever it may be. Mark off applicable attributes. So definitely like check the right boxes that fit you. Write it complete from the business description. So that's like the message that everybody knows is coming from you. Publish Google post weekly. So maybe you're updating your own profile, or maybe you're writing things about yourself or making posts every week. We'll go over here so you can see the other side. Upload new photos weekly. So whether you're doing that again on social media or directly on Google, or having the two connect and communicate with each other, but you definitely want to update new photos regularly. You want to answer questions if people, because people can do that. They can ask questions to Google about your specific business and profile. So make sure that you answer those, because if they go unanswered, that's super frustrating, right? So if someone says, hey, are you open on Sundays? Make sure you answer, no, I'm not. And then maybe that's a red flag. Hey, maybe I need to check my my hours information that's listed on my Google page. Definitely collect and respond to reviews. So even if it's a positive review, say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I love seeing you. It's an honor doing your hair, right? And if someone has a complaint, like respond to it. Say, I'm so sorry that happened. I'm going to contact you directly to resolve this issue. Thank you for making me aware. Add a list of like all of the products that you sell and all the services that you do. Set up messaging and just maintain your business profile, like constantly update it. So hopefully you find this helpful. If this is helpful, type a letter Y in the chat. If you're like, yep, this is great. Again, motivational. We're just trying to make you successful. And these aspects definitely make up the entire kind of all of it, right? It's a lot. But of course, social media, like specifically talking about Instagram, images are queen, but content is king. So like, what is your content like? Your content like? There are 1 billion plus users on Instagram worldwide. That's a lot of people. 90% of users follow a business. Think about it. Do you follow a business on Instagram? I definitely do. Are your followers following you? Or like, are your clients, following you? Of course your followers are following you. But like, are your clientele following you? 84% discover new products on Instagram. Holy cow. Okay, have you ever bought something that you saw as a result of an Instagram ad? I totally have. So feature your products and hairstyling tutorials maybe on your Instagram profile. I do facilitate a like social media obsessed class. So if you feel like, we're going to go over these best practices, but if you feel like you need a lot of help with specifically social media, please, please, please reach out to me. And I am happy if you want to just have like, even a one-on-one social media class. Like that is something I'm definitely passionate about. But here are some basic best practices. And also how you reach out to me is you can find me on Instagram at court.hair. So COURT.hair. So court.hair. So definitely send me a DM if you want, if you feel like you need a social media class. But some best practices here. Post consistently, like 1 to 2 posts per day. You just want it to be regularly, but you don't want to overpost. It's like, okay, post regularly, but don't overpost. What's overposting? Anything more than like 2 posts a day is just overkill. Only post quality content that makes sense for your brand. Again, going back to the story that we told about my former colleague, right? About like, what did the purple hair girl make sense for her brand? No, it did not. So please just make quality posts that make sense for your brand. Tell stories. Know your brand. Be visually consistent, right? And that's part of the whole branding message. Be choosy with hashtags, like use the right hashtags. Definitely, definitely, definitely. If you want to be, quote, searchable and you want your work to pop up, like definitely use the right hashtags. If you're not, like hashtag the brands that you use. Like on your post, hashtag Redken, hashtag Shades EQ if you use Shades EQ. Hashtag your products, like hashtag your area. Hashtag what you did, like hashtag, brown balayage. Hashtag red hair, hashtag fade, like whatever it is. Take advantage of user-generated content too. So again, share posts created by your favorite brands or by your clients. Use stories for lighter content. So remember, like if things are in a post, it's going to stay up there. Stories, it disappears after 24 hours. So if you just like want to create a funny reel or like a funny story or just, any kind of story, think about like what story are you trying to tell? That's what you should use stories for. Use Instagram to boost your website traffic. So definitely make sure that in your profile you have your website linked to it so they can click that in your profile and be taken to your website. And apply that search engine optimization to your Instagram strategy. So all those things we already talked about, you can still also apply to Instagram. Be selective with micro-influencers. Influencers are definitely a thing. They're definitely around, especially in our industry. But just really be careful of like who you're following and who you're sharing. And again, does it apply to you and your work and your brand? Explore advertising, because sometimes you can pay money to boost a post, and sometimes that's a very good idea. Maintain your brand's voice across all content. And of course, engage in the comments. That is huge. I always relate it. It's kind of like going to a party. And if you go to a party full of people and you go stand in the corner with your nose to the wall, are you likely to make a lot of new friends? Like, no, not at all. So what do you have to do to make new friends? Well, you have to go up to people. You have to engage. You have to ask meaningful questions. You're trying to connect. It's the same way on social media. So please, please, please make sure that if someone leaves a comment, that you are liking that comment. You're commenting back, right? So it's social media. I always say that, like it's social for a reason. It's social media. You've got to socialize during it. So of course, bringing it all together and analyzing your data for growth. It's really cool because on Instagram now, when you have a business profile, you can analyze your busiest times when people notice your work the most. Is it morning, afternoon, or night? You can see like your demographics. So definitely just make sure that you're analyzing your data and use that to help you too. So if there's any questions on that, again, feel free to type those in the chat box. But let's move on to that consultation, the wow moment. This is insane. Well, we'll start with this, but your mission here is take time to listen to your client's needs and advise them accordingly. This is crazy. This is the crazy part. Are you ready? If you took a brain vacation, come back. Only 1 in 5 guests leave with product. Why? Because nothing was recommended. 97% of hairdressers say that they do a consultation, yet only 7% of those clients agree. Again, a huge disconnect there. That's a 90% difference or discrepancy. Where 90% of hairdressers are like, oh yeah, I do consultations, but only 7% agree that they've ever had a consultation. And so again, listening is key. It should be 10% silence. 30% of the time the hairdresser should speak, but really 60% of that time the guest should be speaking. 90% of sales happen at this step. So if you are waiting till the end to say, oh, hey, yeah, did you need any shampoo today? You're too late. You should have been talking about shampoo during the consultation. Like, hey, how's your hair been feeling? What are your complaints? What are your issues? What can I help you with? Listen. And then when you are educating them, that's all you're doing. You're educating them about what you are going to be using and why you chose it for them. So again, you must listen to hear what they're having problems with so you can swoop in and be the superhero and then make that sale at the end. Right? So how and why to begin the retail conversation now? Creating a clear plan, connecting communication, and better questions lead to better answers. So again, like we already mentioned, this is just a recap. Like, what do you love about your hair? What do you not love about your hair? That's a great question to start. What are you having issues with? Hey, how have you been having more bad hair days than good? I'm trying to make you have more good hair days. And the more questions you ask, then the better you can advise them and say, oh, hey, because you said your color's fading fast, or because you said your hair is frizzy, or you feel like you battle split ends, I'm going to be using Redken Acidic Bonding Concentrate shampoo and conditioner on you. It's going to help protect the bonds of your hair and strengthen weakened bonds, so you're going to have less breakage, and your hair is going to be 11 times smoother. Oh my gosh, right? Okay, I'm already sold. And again, using technology to speed up your time. Digital consultations are huge. I think those really came out and became more readily, used more during the pandemic, right? It's like, hey, new guest trying to get in with you. Instead of just meeting them and having them like come to your space and all of a sudden it's like, okay, what are we doing today? Have a digital consultation ahead of time. It'll save you time in the end. So it'll save time during the actual service. So it'll save time for your guest and for you. And this is huge. In addition, your clients are less likely to cancel their appointment with you if you've already spoken to them about their services. Think about that. So if you take the time to have a digital consultation, think about that. They're less likely to cancel with you or be a no-show. So here are some consultation best practices. Ask your clients how they are doing. Practice empathy. See, it all comes full circle. I told you it would. Ask your clients about how they're doing. Just say, how are you doing? In life, with hair, whatever. And determine the services requested. Determine the ones that they asked for or booked for. Is that going to be the right service for them in that moment? Walk your client through the check-in protocols. So you say, hey, when you get here, please make sure that you wait in your car. When you're ready, you text me, wear your mask, whatever those protocols may be. Just make sure that they're familiar with them. And also tell them, again, how to get to your suite. Give them a price quote and include retail. If you know that, they want to go a lot blonder and you want to make sure that they're using really quality products so that that process can happen, just go ahead and include that in the price. And then tell them, allocate the timing. Like, are the services going to be quick? Is it going to take 1 hour? Is it going to take 5 hours? Definitely let them know ahead of time. And that can all be done during that digital consultation. So just please make sure that, like, a must-have here, your consultation core rituals, your professional tools, and your sensorial ritual. I love that. That includes, like, okay, letting them feel their hair. What are they smelling, right? Just you're creating an experience. Again, they're going to remember that. You're going to remember, they're going to remember how you made them feel. Are you doing that before and after selfie with them? That's a good idea. It's cute. And then I love this, like a curated for you product tray. Hey, here are the products that I recommended for you. Take what you need. And then it's a great idea too, maybe to have like a consultation app. Maybe you have a tablet where they can fill something out when they get there. But just some hot tips, like what is your experience that you're creating? Now reception, confirmation. 68%, and I already mentioned this, but I'm going to say it again. 68% feel anxious walking in for the first time. That's a big percentage. So think about all your new clients, and 68% of them are feeling a little bit anxious walking into your salon for the very first time. So your mission is to welcome your clients as soon as they arrived in a personalized way. Think about my story in the beginning about how when I walked into the spa and they greeted me like, oh, you must be Courtney. Oh, thank you so much for coming in. You know, use their name, make eye contact, thank them for coming in and for showing up. So you got to be prepared for that, right? Like, how did that spa know it was me? Well, because we had had a FaceTime digital consultation beforehand, so they knew that it was me. They had a note, hey, she has red hair and glasses. Okay, cool. So definitely be prepared. Make sure you have the products that you need. This is huge, right? And another benefit to having those consultations ahead of time. If someone wants to undergo a major color change, that way you can make sure ahead of time that you're not in your color area going, oh no, I don't have that color in stock. Pre-packaged retail items discussed during that digital consultation. So go ahead and like put together a cute little bag or basket for them and say, hey, here's what you need to care for your hair because you said that you're trying to get blonder and we need to protect the integrity of your hair. Here's what I highly recommend. Make sure your suite is clean and sanitized. Do you have an a la carte menu? Like, do you offer add-on services? And then, of course, maybe cross-promote with any suite partners. So maybe you have a suite next door that's amazing with manicures and you do hair. Or maybe, you know, you've got someone that does skincare in there. Maybe you're all going to partner up and say, hey, let's create like a Valentine's Day special or a Mother's Day special. And say, hey, if you go see my friend in Suite 104 and get a manicure, we'll each give you $5 off your service or whatever it may be. But I love that idea of working with each other and supporting each other in that way. So what is it to like bookend an experience? And because again, we're in the relationship business. So you're going to reinforce all relevant information. Again, it all goes back to that listening and practicing that empathy. So you're going to surprise and delight them. If you're allowed to have a couch or a chair outside of your suite, like just make sure it's cozy, either outside or inside, wherever you are. And again, maybe they need to wait in their car or wait in a designated area and then they call or text you when they arrive. But either way, they need to know what to do, right? So again, a benefit of having that digital consultation ahead of time. And just be super friendly. Offer them a beverage or a snack if you can. And then, of course, just like confirm. You're just reconfirming. So now the actual service, that revelation. Your mission is to share your expertise with your guest. Let your guests know what products you are using and how to recreate that look at home. The service part sometimes is like when your clients get a little nervous. Like they see you I'm going to move that closer so you can see better. There we go. They see you like take your scissors out or whatever, like get your foiling comb out, or maybe they've never seen a balayage board before and they're going to get nervous. So when do they relax? Well, 87% of them say that having their hair shampooed is their favorite part of the visit. And 70% say they won't go back if they don't enjoy it. So make sure that they're relaxed. And again, the shampoo chair is a great way to make sure that that happens. Give them a killer head massage and they'll love you and remember that forever. Because you're just trying to connect with your clients. You're the professional. Again, just check in regularly during the service. Say, hey, how you doing? Can I get you anything? Hey, how you doing? You know, do you need, are you feeling good? Do you need anything? Can I offer you a refill? Like, what do you need? And always be talking about your products. Okay? Always, always, always. If you're going to put a product on someone's hair, they want to know what it is. Trust me. And you're just trying to continue that retail conversation because you're trying to create, yes, your system for what you're doing behind your chair, but also what like at-home rituals do they have? I love this. So I had an associate once working with me, but she had already been a hairstylist for 7 years. She was just doing some extra training with me. And she was doing a lot of my finishing work for me. And I noticed my retail dollars skyrocket. Like I was consistently doing around $1,000 a month in retail. And all of a sudden it was getting closer to like $1,300, $1,400. And I was like, Jenna, dude, what are you doing? Like, You're amazing. Like, my retail dollars are going up every month. Like, this is crazy. And she was like, I don't know. And I'm like, something's different. And so I started listening to what she was doing. And what she was saying was, when it came time for the hairstyling part, she was talking about the products as if they were already going to be buying it. So she'd be like, okay, so when you use this at home, you want to make sure to use a dime size and apply it on your mids and ends, just like this. And then you're going to comb it through and leave it in. But it wasn't, oh, so I'm using a dime size on your ends today. It's, when you use this at home, this is how much and how to do it and why. What? That's amazing. So change your verbiage to, when you use this at home, and I guarantee your retail dollars are going to go up. And of course, make sure you get that Instagram worthy photo, because they'll remember that, and then they'll be like, oh my gosh, my hair looks so good that day. I want the products so I can recreate that. Look at home. You are the professional. Just know that. Right? Just, you're the professional. Talk about the hair products that you're using. And again, say, because you said your hair feels dry, or because you said you fight frizz, this is what I'm using. Continue that conversation. Speak about what you're using with excitement and confidence, for sure. So of course, we've got our cut, color, and styling core rituals. And I guess you're going to show them the products that you actually used. I love this. Maybe consider getting a phone holder. Well, just to hold it, but then also maybe like a charger or a bag holder. But also consider having a little phone stand. So when it comes time to style their hair, you say, hey, why don't you put your phone up on this phone holder and hit the record button, and you can have a personalized video so you can see exactly how I style your hair, so you know what to do at home. Talk about expertise being translated and them loving you and trusting you and being like, oh my gosh, no other stylist has done that for me before. And then, of course, you can't rush them out the door. So our last step, we've got about 10 minutes left, but the last step here is, of course, making sure they're satisfied at checkout. 51% of women surveyed feel rushed by the stylist at the end. Like, okay, get out, bye, we're done. My next one's here, see ya. Take time for a proper checkout. Book the next visit and strengthen that relationship. Like, really take that time, look them in the eye, thank them. You want those 5-star reviews, right? So just check in with them and make sure they're satisfied. Say, hey, do you love your hair? Show gratitude that making them feel as special as when they arrived. Thank you so much for coming in today, Susie. It's always such a great time with you. Like, I love doing your hair. Thank you so much for supporting me and for your business. And then just be like, is there anything else I can do for you? You know, keep checking in with them. And then part of that is to let them know you care and to like keep following up. So like we said, pre-book their next appointment. Have a loyalty program. And make sure they're like enrolled so they know what they're getting. And again, there's digital asset tools that can help you with that. Or maybe you just talk to a printer and get a little like punch card made. Hey, for every $20 you spend, you get a stamp. And after 10 stamps, you get a free product of your choice or whatever it may be. But people love loyalty programs. Ask for referrals. And the way you do that is to like quantify a number and just say, you know what, Susie, I love doing your hair so much. I would love it. Can you send me 2 of your friends or family members that are just like you? I would love to do their hair too. So just ask, just be transparent about it. Ask them to post on social media and definitely tag you for sure. If you see them post and they didn't tag you, oh my gosh, send them a DM. Be like, I need you to edit and tag me in that because I need everyone to see who made your hair look so awesome. And then, of course, being transparent and asking them for Google or Yelp reviews. Finish as strong as you began. Okay, let's be real. At the end of like a 4-hour service, you're exhausted, right? Type yes in the chat box if you're like, yep, I feel ya. They get there and you're like, woohoo, I just ate, or I had my coffee, like I'm good, I'm ready to go. Make sure that your energy level is the same at the end. Like, don't be like, oh my God, doing your hair makes me so tired, right? You want to finish as strong as you were when you began. Give them, you're bookending that experience, right? You're creating that experience at the beginning, in the middle, and then of course this is the final step is at that, you're providing that care for that finish, that close. You want to solidify the rebook. Say, okay, to maintain this look at home, I need to see you back every 6 weeks. 6 weeks from now is going to be March 15th. Does that sound good to you? Let's go ahead and reserve your 9 o'clock. And then, of course, attitude of gratitude. Thank them. I can't tell you to like thank them, thank them, thank them. So, of course, you've got that checkout. Do you send a follow-up email? And I will say, like, nobody really, well, I can't say nobody, but in this day and age, I feel like email is not the most widely used method of effective communication. But maybe that looks like a text message or a DM, right? Have cute shopping bags, like have branded shopping bags if you can. Like get a stamp made or something and make some cute bags. They'll love that. They'll remember you. When they take their products out of that cute bag, they'll be like, oh, Courtney made me feel so good. My hair looks awesome. I'm so happy with my hair and with my purchases, right? So that's part of creating that memorable experience. Hand out product samples. I know we already talked about a loyalty program, but like definitely consider, you can go to like Costco or Sam's or even on Amazon. They've got little plastic cups with lids. So if you don't have actual samples from your product line and your distributor, you can make your own. And that will also help create that experience and increase retail sales. If you're like, hey, here's a sample. I really want you to try this product. Let me know how it goes. And then, of course, just planning. Maybe that's smart rebooking. Maybe that's not even planning ahead their next visit, but maybe like the next 3 visits. So just something to think about there. And again, there it is. That is that wheel. Again, it's a continuous figure 8 because it's an experience. That's why it's called like the sweet emotion experience. All of these factors come together to build an amazing experience for your clients so they want to keep coming back and they want to send their friends in. It's a win-win for everybody. So think about it. I want to hear from you. I think a couple of you are watching live. Maybe you're going to watch this recorded version after the fact, but wherever you are, just think about this. You know, it's the end of the day, so most likely you'll be putting these practices into motion tomorrow or maybe today, whatever day you're watching this. But in the suite, I will, and then ... What are you going to implement that you are motivated about or maybe encouraged by, like through this presentation about creating the sweet emotion experience? If you're on live, and I would love it if you would type it in the chat box for me to see, like, what's your call to action? Because if you just, sit through a program, and I appreciate your time, so much of you watching or listening, but if you don't act on it or follow through, it's just kind of like, well, all right, that's cool. But hopefully there's at least one aspect, if not more, that you got out of this that's going to help you behind the chair. So I want to hear from you. Like, what are you going to put forth or enact behind the chair? What's going to change? Like maybe you're someone like me who likes to journal, like write down, commit to it. When you write something down, you are 8 times more likely to actually follow through with it than when you don't. So write it down. Say, you know what? Today or tomorrow in the salon, I will. Maybe it's practice empathy. Maybe it's update your Google profile. Maybe it's respond to reviews. Maybe it's make little sample bags of product. Maybe it's just choosing to listen more diligently to your clients. And again, don't listen to respond like we talked about. But just think about it. Make sure, there is a community for Salon Emotion, so you can share your stories too. If you want to go public with it, Again, you can write it in a private journal, or maybe you want to send me a DM. Again, my Instagram handle is @court.hair. So feel free to send me a DM if you want. If you want to connect more, I am here for you in any way, shape, or form. Or maybe you want to follow salonemotion.official on Instagram. And then hashtag SalonEmotionUS. So if you're making a post and you're like, you know what, this is awesome, maybe you want to consider hashtag SalonEmotionUS. And that way, again, when you click on those hashtags, you can find other Salon Emotion users and people that also have been through this journey. Because again, it is so important. Again, I'm going to put this on me now for this close. Hi. It's so important now more than ever anyone can go anywhere and get a haircut. Can we agree on that? Like anyone can go anywhere and just show up and say, hey, I need a haircut. Okay, cool. But if you're trying to create a successful business and have a kick-ass year this year, you've got to elevate your game, right? Just up your game. And that's what this was all about. It was just different ways to elevate your game. So that way your clients and your customers, they feel like their needs are met and they feel connected to you. So I thank you so much for your time, for signing on, for being on, for listening. I hope you got something out of this, sincerely. Again, whether it was one thing or 10 things, I'm always like, the minute you quit taking education in this industry, you should quit. So hopefully you found this fulfilling. Again, my Instagram handle is @court.hair. If you ever need anything, feel free to shoot me a message. I'm happy to, again, either just connect or answer questions or whatever it is you need from me, I'm here for you. Again, I'm a Redken brand educator, so I teach 5 days a week. And so you're, quote, never bothering me. If it's the middle of the night, I'm probably sleeping, but I'll respond to you the next day. But thank you so much. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great rest of your week, a great rest of your year. I hope this year is huge for you, wherever you are. And I hope to see you again sometime in the future. So thank you all so much.